So the most recent level 2 pass rate is back up to historical norms? I don't know exactly what to make of that just yet, and I talked with Mark Meldrum earlier today. We both have some thoughts on it, so I'll talk about those in this video. But I do know that many of you watching this may have just passed the level 2 CFA exam. So before we get into some thoughts and details about the pass rates, I want to say congratulations to those who did pass. This is a huge accomplishment for you. The level 2 CFA exam is certainly one of the hardest, if not the hardest, finance exam that there is. And I like to argue that it's one of the hardest exams in the entire world. So to be able to clear it means that you probably did a whole lot right, and you probably deserved the good news that you got today. But most importantly, if you passed the level 2 CFA exam, you're gonna be able to pass the level 3 exam too, I think. Now, I'm not saying that level 3 is easy, because it's certainly not. It's still a fair bit harder than the level 1 exam was. But it would be hard to make the argument that someone who has the amount of determination and fight in them to study enough to be able to pass the level 2 exam will not also be able to study enough to pass the level 3 exam. It would be hard to make that argument. I know that the level 3 exam is very different, but to be honest, it's a little bit easier. Now that you've cleared level 2, the odds are in your favor. You might start to build this sense of inevitability.
I am inevitable.
That you will ultimately become a CFA charter holder, which is a cool prospect. And if you dwell on that opportunity, it can work to further motivate you through your level 3 studies. For me, when I started out in the CFA program, I knew that there was a low statistical likelihood that I would ever clear all 3 levels, and I'm a realist, so I never really tried to convince myself that someday I would become a charter holder. Until I passed level 2, that is. I can really remember the sense of possibility that came after learning that I had cleared the level 2 exam. So if you passed, I hope that you're able to feel the same sense of accomplishment, and that sense of possibility helps to further motivate you as well. By the way, feel free to post in the comments down below how you studied for the exam, how many hours you spent, how many practice questions or mock exams that you did, or just general tips that may have helped you pass it. I'm sure some of the people watching this video would like to check that out. For the other large group of you who did not pass the exam, honestly, I wouldn't be too worried about it. You tried at one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult, academic challenge you'll ever undergo in your lifetime, potentially, and you came up short. And that's life sometimes. Falling short of a goal is always going to happen to different people at different stages in their life, so it's nothing to beat yourself up about. And on top of that, you can retake the exam like every 6 months now. So you have way more accessibility to redo this thing if you want to than all failed level 2 candidates of the past. So for now, focus on the positives, then develop a plan and work harder if you're going to try the exam again and get after it. Now, back to the 46% pass rate. When I saw that the pass rate had returned to historical norms, my first thought was to check what the minimum passing score was. And the minimum passing score also has looked to come back to historically normal levels, at least if you compare it to what we've seen over the past 10 years or so. Keep in mind that these MPS numbers are not actually published by the CFA Institute themselves, so they're just estimates that we have to work with. They're put out by 300hours.com. Assuming these estimates are accurate, I think this is very good news for future level 2 candidates. What a normalized MPS from the November 2021 exam means to me is that the very high MPS from the August 2021 exam, and in turn the very low pass rate from that exam, may have sort of been a one-off event. Now, of course, we can't confirm that yet, but it should still feel good to potential level 2 candidates who aren't seeing multiple sessions of very low pass rates for this thing. And this could potentially disprove one of the theories about why the passing rates have been low recently that I've thrown out in a couple videos, and many people have sort of commented on or agreed with in the comment section down below, which was that the CFA Institute just wanted to make all of their exams more difficult in general, so they were just going to raise all the minimum passing scores across the board. It seems now that the 70% level 2 MPS may have just been isolated to August of 2021. So Mark Meldrum and I were exchanging some thoughts on this topic earlier today, and he made a really great point. This group of candidates who took the level 2 exam in November of 2021 may have contained many of those candidates that passed the level 1 exam in May of 2021, when the level 1 exam saw its lowest pass rate ever. And with the pass rate being that low, it would theoretically mean that only the hardest working or most qualified or smartest CFA exam candidates were the ones who were able to clear the level 1 exam then, and be able to register for the level 2 exam in November. Essentially, it was like a cream of the crop type group because the prior exam was artificially difficult. So in that scenario, which was sort of one of Mark Meldrum's original theories, and I think he might talk about it again in a video later this week, the low level 1 pass rates could be by design from the CFA Institute, and we might see those consistently in the future, but the level 2 and level 3 pass rates should theoretically be higher. In Mark's video, when he first talked about this theory, he explained that many universities use this exact methodology for some of the introductory or placement exams into the more desirable programs at that university. And I know my university, Notre Dame, worked the same way. The majority of kids who are business majors want to get into finance, so they make these really difficult freshman finance classes such that only about 50% of the kids are able to get over, I think it was a 70% hurdle that you have to get over to become an actual finance major. And that makes a lot of sense for a university who has to devote a lot of resources to those more desirable upper level finance classes. I don't necessarily see why the CFA Institute would implement something like this, but it very well could be the structure they're gonna go with moving forward, so that really only people who are super serious about getting through all 3 levels can get past level 1. And maybe it would sort of equalize the difficulty between all 3 levels, or potentially even bump level 1 up on that scale to the point where some people could argue that it's more difficult than levels 2 or 3, to sort of ensure the quality of candidates that are getting to level 2 and level 3. I don't know exactly why it would be, but that's what this theory says, and what we see in these November level 2 pass rates sort of goes along with what we should be seeing if that was the strategy that the Institute was actually going to be using. Of course, we'll only know for sure like 2 or 3 years into the future once we have many data points of level 1 and level 2 and level 3 pass rates as we continue to watch the progress of how many people are able to clear these tests. Hey, if you enjoyed this video or any of the CFA content I put up, please make sure to like this one and also subscribe to the channel. Those types of things help out the channel, they boost the growth of the channel, and they also help me know which types of videos people most want to see, which types of videos are doing the best and all that. And of course, I appreciate the interactions on them. It's always great for the YouTube algorithm, and we definitely want Father Google and Mother YouTube to push Straight Talks all the way up the ranks until we've passed Mr. Beast for 100 million subscribers, so that I can take my rightful place at the left hand of God the Father when I'm up in heaven and we're all celebrating our YouTube subscriber counts. So as always, thanks for watching.